Christian left the hill of difficulty and kept travelling, of course it was dark. He also remembered the story that Mistrust and Timorous had told him of how they were frightened by the sight of lions. Then said Christian to himself again, "These beasts range in the night for their prey, and if they should meet me in the dark, how will I shift them? How will I escape being torn to pieces?" And thus he went on his way. While he was miserable about his unhappy situation, he lifted his eyes, and behold, there was a very stately palace before him. It was called Beautiful, and it stood by the side of the road. I saw in my dream that as he rushed along, he set himself to find a lodging there that night. But before he had gone far, he entered into a very narrow passage, which was about a mile from the porter's lodge. And it was very narrow, and he saw 2 lions in the way. Now he thought, I see the dangers that Mistrust and Timorous were driven back by. Now the lions were chained, but he did not see the chains. He was afraid and thought to himself to go back. He thought nothing but death was before him. But the porter at the lodge, whose name is Watchful, saw that Christian had made a halt and stopped and would go back. And he cried to him, saying, "Is your strength so small? Fear not the lions, they are chained and placed there for a trial of faith, to discover those who have and those who have none. Stay in the middle of the path, and no hurt shall come to you." I saw he went on trembling for fear of the lions, but listening to the directions of the porter, he heard them roar, but they did him no harm. Then he clapped his hands and went on his way till he came and stood before the gate where the porter was. Well, hiding from the rain again, aren't we, dog? It's a miserable day on our little pilgrimage. In Bunyan's story, he relates something that we have to all consider very carefully. When we're following God, there may be perceived dangers, but God can restrain them. We may think that there are real troubles ahead, and it may fill us with fear, and people who are timorous and mistrust God may turn and flee. But if your path is to walk where God wants you to walk and what God wants you to do, then you're required to exercise faith that God will keep you, and that God would watch over you, and that he will hold back all that would be dangerous. And so in your life you may feel that there are all sorts of dangers and difficulties that lie ahead, but remember this: God has hold of them and has chained them. They may even shout and they may even roar, but nothing can happen to you without God's knowledge, and nothing can happen to you without God's agreement. This sets a Christian apart from anyone else in the world. Whatever we feel lies ahead of us that is dangerous, we know who has control over them, and he will watch over us and protect them, and we are just to keep walking by faith and keep obeying, and God will take care of us. Well, from me and my little friend on this wet day, may God bless you and watch over you.